Hi, Don Campbell here with Expand to Web, and today I wanted to share with you one of my very favorite business books. It's called Made to Stick: Why Some Ideas Survive and Others Die. It's by Chip Heath and Dan Heath, two brothers who had a sort of a common interest. They wanted to find out why certain stories, survived through, hundreds of years, even thousands of years, certain proverbs or urban legends, different stories. Why did they survive and spread and versus other ones that die? And how could we apply that to some of the things that we do in life, right? Marketing or any kind of a thing where we've got a message that we want to tell or a story we want to tell. And they did some amazing research on this and shared it in the book. And they really deconstructed these stories and looked for the patterns to see what made these stories stick, what made them get transmitted to different people, and then they sort of reverse engineered them and came up with a really cool checklist that you can use to go through and apply that to your own messaging. So, some of the things that they went into were certain urban legends and proverbs and, compelling stories that have just been around for a long time. And what they found was a number of things, and they put together this checklist called the SUCCES checklist. So first of all, what do they define as a sticky idea? Well, a sticky idea is something that's understandable, it's memorable, and effective in changing thought or behavior. So you can probably think of a lot of these, proverbs like a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? It's very short and sweet, but it actually means something to you as soon as you hear it. You've also heard the myth of the Halloween candy, right? Where you have to be careful and check your candy for razor blades before your kids eat it. That was actually an urban legend that went around for a long time, and they did a bunch of research and found that actually no deaths happened, or injuries to children based on people putting razor blades in their candy. So interesting how these things sort of spread, and sometimes we even believe them. And they found the characteristics of these stories, and they put together a little checklist. And they made an acronym for this called SUCCES, right? So each letter stands for a different sort of characteristic. The first one is simplicity. So S stands for simplicity, finding the core idea of your message. It doesn't mean dumbing it down. It means finding what is the essential part of this idea that you want to convey. What is the core element, right? And making that compact. And so that's the first part of the SUCCES checklist. And number two is unexpectedness. So you need to get people's attention and keep their interest. You need to break their guessing machines and give them something to think about and catch their attention, right, with something worthwhile, not just something trivial, but something really worthwhile, and sort of ignite their curiosity. And the third, the C, so walking down the SUCCES checklist, is concreteness. So this is specific people doing specific things, right? That's why charities will have you adopt a particular child, right? Instead of saying, hey, try and help all the people over starving in Africa, they'll have you adopt a particular child because, we crave this sort of, we want to know about specific people, not just in the general. And the other thing about concreteness is, when people are learning things, novices, they crave concreteness. They're looking for something they can grab onto rather than some general or abstract idea. So the fourth part of this is credibility, right? So different types of authority. We tend to trust something if a celebrity we admire endorses it or an expert endorses it. And there's some interesting parts of credibility in the book where sometimes people are really clever and they'll make you the authority, like the Wendy's Where's the Beef campaign. I don't know if you ever remember seeing this old lady going, where's the beef, looking in the hamburger, where that's what they call a testable credential that you can go in and look at yourself and decide, right? The fifth part is emotions. The E stands for emotions. So for people to take action, they have to care, right? And people make decisions based on emotions more than they do logic. And they found some interesting things about emotions, that people don't always just react to, money or self-interest. A lot of times they react based on an ideal, like an ideal, if they view themselves as a certain type of a person, they think, well, what would someone like me do in this situation? And so a lot of times you need to look at people's higher motives as well, and get them to care about something, right? And then the last part is S for stories. And stories are very, very powerful because that's what we've used for thousands of years to share information across generations, and we all react well to stories. So you can basically, the whole big idea for this book is to take find the core of your message and then translate that core using the success checklist, right? And then you come out with a message that people can act on. And so a couple of key principles in here. One is that, for an idea to stick, it really needs to make the audience pay attention, which is the sort of the unexpected part that we talked about. They need to be able to understand and remember your message, which is where concreteness helps. They need to agree and believe in it, which is the credibility. And they need to care about it, which is the emotions, and they need to be able to act on it, which is the story. In stories, there's a quote in the book where he says, stories are like flight simulators for the brain. We can read a story or hear a story, and it gives us an example or a model of how to act in a certain situation. And it helps us think through something and understand how it works. So there's a lot of really neat things in this book. I can't recommend it enough. I've read it several times. I've listened to it on audio, and it's really changed the way that I do things too. Because now, whenever I'm working on a new product or a new website or marketing message or some kind of thing that I want people to understand, I really try to get down to that core message, and then I try to go through and translate it with a success checklist, right? I'm really working hard on figuring out how to use story in a lot of the things that I do, because I think people really relate well to it. So anyway, I really think you're going to like this book. You should definitely read it. I mean, just don't even waste any time thinking about it. Go get this book and read it. It's very interesting. They tell a lot of stories. They're very practical in this book too. They give you a lot of things that you can grab onto and use. And they tell these things in a really fun way. There's some really, really cool stuff in here. So good luck to you. I hope you read it, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.